In the world of coin collecting, legends aren't just forged in gold and silver. Sometimes, the most ordinary pocket change hides a secret so powerful, it can transform a handful of 5 cents into a life-changing fortune. Imagine this. You're holding a nickel, dull and unremarkable. Something you've probably tossed into a tip jar without a second thought. But what if that same nickel could be worth not just hundreds, not just thousands, but hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in the most jaw-dropping cases, reported market sales reaching up to $999,000. Almost $1 million. For a nickel, sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? And yet, the story of the 1964 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark is one of the most mysterious and electrifying tales in American numismatic history. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute. How can a nickel, minted by the billions, possibly be rare enough to fetch that kind of money? That's where things get interesting, because hidden in the fine details of history, minting practices, and condition rarity lies a perfect storm that has turned this otherwise common coin into the holy grail of Jefferson. Nickels, before we dive in, let me ask you a simple question. When was the last time you actually looked closely at your change? Think about it. Every day, millions of Americans handle nickels without noticing the tiny details. The dates, the subtle differences that could mean the difference between 5 cents and financial freedom. And here's the kicker: people just like you have stumbled across treasures in their own homes, tucked away in old jars, inherited from parents and grandparents, or forgotten in dusty dresser drawers. So let's peel back the curtain and enter the world of the 1964 no mint mark, Jefferson nickel. By the end of this story, you might never look at your pocket change the same way again. The year is 1964. America is in the middle of massive change. The Civil Rights Act has just been signed. The Beatles are invading the airwaves, and the U.S. Mint is facing one of the greatest coin shortages in history. Demand for coins is skyrocketing, and the Mint is under enormous pressure to produce billions of nickels, dimes, and quarters. In fact, 1964 marks the single highest mintage of Jefferson nickels ever. Over 1 billion struck. You'd think that means the coins are as common as dirt. And that's true for most of them, but here's where the plot thickens. Unlike today, where coins bear tiny mint marks like D for Denver or S for San Francisco, in 1964, the system was chaotic. The government even halted proof sets for collectors, all in a desperate attempt to funnel coins into circulation. And while Denver and Philadelphia mints were cranking out nickels non-stop, many of the Philadelphia issues carried no mint mark at all. That's not unusual by itself. Philadelphia coins often went without mint marks, but combined with the sheer production frenzy, mistakes and irregularities slipped through, and collectors began to notice something different. Among the mountain of 1964 nickels, a small fraction were struck with extraordinary precision, often on high-quality planchettes, producing coins of stunning sharpness. Others carried subtle die varieties and doubled features, and a few were preserved in pristine, untouched condition surviving the decades without a single scratch. These are the survivors that command jaw-dropping prices today. But let's pause here and ask, what makes a coin worth nearly $1 million? Is it just age, rarity, beauty? The answer is more complex. In numismatics, value is determined by a deadly combination of rarity, demand, and condition. And the 1964 no-mint mark nickel has all three factors colliding in dramatic fashion. Here's the twist. Most 1964 nickels are practically worthless 5 cents at best. Maybe a few dollars if they're slightly better than average. But in top condition, what collectors call full steps, meaning the tiny steps on Monticello's design are perfectly visible and unbroken, these nickels enter a league of their own. And that's where the numbers get staggering. Imagine this, a coin you could have pulled from circulation in the 1960s, preserved by pure luck, now sitting under the bright lights of an auction house. Bidders lean in, holding their paddles high. The auctioneer calls out the numbers: 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. And yes, documented sales have pushed the boundaries into the high six figures. At least one pristine example has been reported to reach nearly $999,000, almost $1 million. For a single nickel dot, think about that for a moment. That's more than the average American home. That's enough to retire early. All from a coin so many people dismiss without a second thought. But here's the danger and the thrill. For every legendary 1964 nickel, there are millions of imposters. Coins that look ordinary. Coins that collectors dream about, but which fail under the microscope of grading experts. And here's where the suspense tightens. How do you know if the nickel in your hand is the one that could change your life? Let me paint you a picture. You dump out an old coffee tin of coins left by your grandfather. You sift through dimes, quarters, pennies, and then you see Ida, 1964 nickel with no mint mark. Your heart skips. Could this be the one? You grab a magnifying glass, tilt it under the light. You look for the tiny details on Monticello's steps. If every line is crisp, unbroken, and perfect, you may be holding a treasure. But beware, most aren't. Most have wear, scratches, or weak strikes that disqualify them. Yet the possibility is there. And that possibility is what keeps collectors awake at night. Now, let's add another layer to this story. In 1965, the Mint officially banned the use of mint marks for several years, trying to discourage collectors from hoarding coins. That means the 1964 issue is not only the last of an era, but also a bridge into a strange chapter of American coinage. This historical context adds weight to its desirability. Collectors know they're not just buying metal. They're buying a slice of history. A moment frozen in time when America itself was in transition. And here's where things get even more intriguing. The Jefferson nickel design, with Monticello on the reverse, seems simple enough. But for decades, striking those tiny steps sharply was a nightmare for the mint. Weak strikes were common, so when a coin comes along with full, flawless steps, sits like striking gold, except it's nickel. Irony, anyone. Now, maybe you're wondering, should you rush to the bank and demand boxes of nickels to search through? Should you tear apart every piggy bank in the house? Here's my advice. Don't underestimate what you already have. Those jars of coins collecting dust in your closet might be more valuable than any trip to the bank. Many of the rarest finds aren't discovered in circulation today. They're uncovered in forgotten collections. Places where coins were stashed away decades ago, untouched. But time is the enemy here. Every year that passes, fewer pristine 1964 nickels remain. Coins get lost, damaged, or degraded, which means those still in perfect condition only become more valuable. And if that doesn't spark urgency, I don't know what will. Ask yourself, what would you do if you discovered one? Would you keep it, frame it, and tell your friends you own a nickel worth more than a Ferrari? Or would you cash out, ride the wave of demand, and secure your future? There's a strange poetry in it all. A coin designed to represent everyday America, featuring Thomas Jefferson, one of the nation's most complex founding fathers. Struck by the billions during a time of social upheaval, now standing as one of the most valuable rarities in modern numismatics. Who could have predicted it? Certainly not the millions of Americans who jingled these coins in their pockets as they bought. For 30 cents a gallon, or movie tickets for $1. And yet, here we are, decades later, living in a world where those same coins could alter your financial destiny. So the next time you find yourself with a nickel in hand, don't dismiss it. Look closer. Ask yourself, could this be one of the survivors? Could this be the hidden gem that turns a casual glance into a life-changing discovery? Because here's the truth. Somebody has to find the next $1 million nickel. Why not you? In a world where fortunes can hide in plain sight, opportunity doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it jingles quietly in your pocket, waiting for the right eyes to notice. So check your change, search your jars, dig through those old drawers. The 1964 no-mint Mark Jefferson nickel is out there. And for those lucky enough to recognize it, that ordinary piece of metal could become the most extraordinary story of your life.